Hola everyone, JB Throws here back with another video. Today, we talk about Six Flags Fiesta Texas in San Antonio, Texas. If you don't already know, recently, Jeffrey Siebert, the park president of Fiesta Texas, has officially begun teasing for the brand new attraction coming to the park in 2022. Every year, he always does this for the brand new attraction coming to the park. But this year, the teasers are rather interesting, with some teasers pointing to fear, mysterious phone calls, and even what seems to be a Fright Fest parade that took place in June. We're not even close to August, and for teasers like these, you know the brand new attraction will be big. But what is the attraction exactly? Well, after some further investigation, I think I figured it out, as well as the theme of the attraction. And I might have even cracked the other codes like the mysterious phone calls, and the tricky teasers that Jeffrey set up. In 2019, I was able to crack the codes and correctly predict Daredevil dive flying machines, and I even got his name correct. So hopefully this year, I do the same. Before I get into the predictions though, I would like to say, if you like my content and videos, and would love to see more of these prediction style videos, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to know when new videos come out on my channel. Because this is the first of many prediction videos coming from Fiesta Texas, because I know more teasers are to come. And if you don't want to miss those, then you'll definitely want to subscribe. And thank you to those who already subscribed to my channel. It really means a lot. Anyways, let's get into today's video. Before we get into the prediction, we need a little bit of background information. So we all know that Six Flags hasn't really gotten a lot of attractions this year. The reason why is because of COVID, and the many delays that stopped the brand new attractions. For example, Aquaman Power Wave out over Texas that's still delayed to 2022. But despite all odds, Fiesta Texas actually got to open their new for 2020 attraction, which was Daredevil dive flying machines. Because of this, they were safe, and can now plan for a brand new attraction in the park. So it was only a matter of time before we found out what this ride would be. And surprisingly, the teaser started very early this year, in the month of June. Back in 2019, when they were teasing the brand new edition of Daredevil dive flying machines, the teasers usually started around late June or even July. So for an attraction to be teased this early, it must be really big. But what's more is what happened recently in the park. If you didn't know, last week was Roller Coaster Rodeo, an event at Fiesta Texas that allowed guests at an additional cost to do special events, like seeing the tracker Poltergeist, climbing on the lift hill of Goliath, getting exclusive ride time and more. But during the event, something strange happened. All of a sudden, some Fright Fest actors, dressed in steampunk-esque costumes, started walking on the streets of Crack-Axle Canyon, the western area of the park. The costumes looked like gas masks, Plague Doctor masks, and steampunk abominations. But what's weirder is the balloon that they were holding. They had this mini blimp balloon that had the number 2022 on it. Then, after the parade, Jeffrey Siebert went to a wall between Sundance Theater and Lone Star Lil's amphitheater and unveiled a poster that said 2022, the gates of fear open. And after that, teasers started popping up all over Crack-Axle Canyon, all referring to fear and terror, with some posters telling you to call this number, and if you did call it, it would give you a cryptic message. Now one thing's for certain, this is definitely teasing a brand new attraction coming to the park. But the question is, what type of attraction will it be? Where will it be located? What will its theme be? And what's up with all the teasers? So now that we all are caught up with the background information, it's time to break down these teasers and hopefully correctly predict the brand new attraction coming to Fiesta Texas in 2022. So to begin, I did some research, looking for what we know so far, and I wrote down a list. What we know is that all the teasers are themed to fear, and they all have a scary vibe. Next, the teasers seem to be concentrated in the Crack-Axle Canyon area of the park. There's no other teasers in any part of the park, only in Crack-Axle Canyon. There was alleged shipping containers that are located in the parking lot of Fiesta Texas, and apparently inside of one of them is wood, even though they're labeled for steel. But because it's a rumor and there's no available evidence of this, I'm not going to use this much for the prediction. Next, the 2020 balloon is still up in the air, and is located near Lone Star Lil's amphitheater. And finally, we have the cryptic phone call, which I'll get into later. Just from these teasers, you can actually learn a lot about the brand new attraction. For example, its location. With all these teasers, it's safe to assume that the new attraction will take place in Lone Star Lil's amphitheater or Sundance Theater, and the ride will probably make one of these stadiums disappear. Why do I say this? Well, the balloon itself is specifically in the area of Lone Star Lewis Amphitheater, so why leave it there? In fact, the balloon looks more like a marker for the location of the new attraction. I mean, it makes sense. Plus, Lone Star Lewis Amphitheater isn't used much, and it has been rumored to get removed for a very long time. In fact, back in 2019, when they were doing teasers for Daredevil Dive flying machines, Jeffrey did this thing called Will It Stay and Will It Go, where he showed pictures of attractions or buildings in the park, and said, will it stay or will it go? And in the end, he did say that these buildings and attractions don't only apply to 2019. And guess what building was on there? Sundance Theater. The theater itself isn't used for much, and if it got removed, nothing bad would happen. I mean, they have other stages like Rockville High, Teatro Fiesta, and the Zaragoza Theater, so they don't really need Sundance Theater. And if they remove it, they have lots of room for a potential roller coaster or even flat ride. So my first prediction is that the new attraction will take the place of Sundance Theater or a little bit of Lone Star Lewis Amphitheater. So we got its location, but what about the ride? And why the scary stuff? Well, majority of the public thought that for the reason of all the scary theme is because the new attraction will be a haunt that lasts year long, something similar to Maison Rouge at Six Flags Le Ronde. And while I see where those guesses are coming from, it's actually wrong. How? Well, little did you know, the park president himself confirmed that this theory was wrong. During Roller Coaster Rodeo, he was giving some more teasers about what the attraction would be, and while he didn't say much, he did in fact confirm that it was not a haunted house.
I will share, this is a signature new ride attraction. It's not a haunted house. It's not. It is a signature new ride that will be added that will truly help you reimagine, rethink the thrills and excitement here at Fiesta Texas.
So just from this, we can completely cancel the theory that the new attraction is a haunted house. I mean, there was other evidence too. Like next year is Fiesta Texas' 30th anniversary, and them getting a haunted house wouldn't make sense. But this is the biggest evidence. And if you hear anyone say that it's a year-long haunt, well, they're wrong. But if it's not a haunt, what is it then? Well, most of the evidence points towards a new roller coaster. And I know some of you will say, well, that's impossible. But actually, there's lots of evidence that can back up this theory. First of all, Jeffrey basically confirmed that it's not a flat ride. How do I know this? Well, he gave some traits to the brand new attraction. Some of these traits include that the new attraction will be the signature attraction of the park, it'll make history, and this attraction was 5 years in the making. All three of these traits do not signify a flat ride at all. No flat ride takes 5 years to make. No flat ride can be a signature attraction. And while it can make history, for a ride to be teased this early, and for them to have a literal parade, no flat ride will be teased this much. There's just too many signs that point towards it being a roller coaster. In fact, I think Jeffrey almost said it was not a flat ride, deliberately. When he was saying it's not a haunted house, he also said it's not, again after, but didn't say anything. Almost like he stopped himself from saying it's not a flat ride either. But hey, that's speculation, and we're only talking about evidence here. But again, for a ride to be teased this early, and Fiesta Texas making a big deal out of it, it's definitely not a flat ride. And if it was, I will be genuinely surprised. But I'm 99% sure it's definitely a roller coaster. And which roller coaster exactly? The coaster everyone predicts nowadays, the S&S Axis Coaster. I mean, it just makes sense. We've all said that the first Six Flags park to get this coaster would be Fiesta Texas. But it's not just that, there's actually evidence that proves this. When Jeffrey was describing the ride, he described it as something you've never seen, it'll make history, repeated signature attraction so many times, and also repeated that it took 5 years to make. So what coaster fits this bill? Not a mini B&M dive, but an S&S Axis coaster. The coaster is unique, and if it came to Fiesta Texas, it would be marked in the history books forever for being the first of its kind. Then, this type of coaster would definitely be a signature attraction. It would truly create lots of buzz in the coaster community, and would definitely create competition to theme parks around the world. Also, a coaster does take 5 years to make, and especially a new model, it would take around that amount of time to finally design and create this coaster. So overall, the S&S Axis coaster checks off all these slots, and if it did come to Fiesta Texas, it would just make sense. I mean, Fiesta Texas is known for being the testing ground for brand new attractions. They literally have the world's first single rail coaster, so they can do it again with the S&S Axis coaster. Also, remember the 2022 balloon that we talked about earlier in the video? Well, this teaser tactic isn't new. In fact, this tactic was actually used when they started teasing for Batman the Ride. which coincidentally is the world's first SNS free spin. And isn't it weird that they use the same type of teaser? And let's say it was an SNS Axis coaster, then both of these balloons are teasing an SNS attraction, and both are a world's first. But again, that's just speculation. But I'd say it's a little bit weird how Six Flags chose specifically this type of teaser, just like Batman the Ride, for this brand new coaster. Just saying. So my second prediction is that the new attraction will be none other than the SNS Axis coaster. But now the next question. What's with all the scary teasers and the mystery phone call? Well, some may say that it just doesn't give you much, but actually all of these teasers, including the phone call, give a giant clue to what this ride will actually be. And I'm not exaggerating. In fact, the teasers and phone call will actually give you the theme of the attraction and possibly even the name. How? Well, let's look at these teasers, shall we? One thing I learned from 2019 is that when it comes to teasers, Jeffrey has a specific tactic, and that tactic is what I call puzzle pieces. All of the teasers are spread out, but if you put them together, it creates the real image, like a puzzle. The tricky thing is, the pieces are so obvious that it seems like one piece is actually the picture, when in reality it isn't. For example, in 2019 with the teasers of Daredevil Dive flying machines, they also did a phone call and some poster clues. Now for the phone call, every few weeks the dialogue would change and something new would be said. Each had its own set of words, and no one really thought they were connected. But after looking back at those phone calls and those clues, it turns out the ride name was revealed. Let me explain. The first phone call said the word dive in it. Automatically, everyone started thinking of a dive coaster. Just like how this year, everyone's automatically thinking of a haunted house because of fear. But that was just a piece. The next thing that came was the pictures of some steampunk flying machines. And still, everyone was focused on that one piece of dive. But in reality, it was still two parts, dive and flying machines. Then after that, the next phone call said dare. Still, no one paid attention, and was only focused on one piece. Then, along the way, we found out that the main character was a true daredevil, and there was also a reference to flying. Then the poster clues, which showed some states that didn't have the attraction. And one state missing was of course New York, because that's where Super Aries was. But everyone kept thinking it was the Semperla Nebulas, even though we still had that clue that said the flying machines, which looked like planes. And if you put all the clues together, you actually get the ride name, Daredevil Dive Flying Machines. It was all there, and no one noticed, because you have to put all the pieces together. So let's do the same for this clues, starting with the phone call. I'll let you listen to it first.
Again, my frightened friend. I can feel you trembling through the phone. It's clear the unknown terror that is about to rain down upon the world is driving you mad. But don't fret. The time is near. Fear is inching its way closer and closer. Soon, evil will replace good, and the horrific vision I have for the human race will become reality. Prepare now for the wickedness that will soon be coming. Call back soon if you dare. I know you will.
Some may say the phone call has no clues, but actually it does, and I can in fact tell you the whole theme of the new attraction just from this phone call, with the other teasers of course. So once again, the phone call had references to fear like the rest of the teasers, but it isn't a fear you're thinking of. In fact, it's a fear of the end of the world, aka an apocalypse. How? Well, during the phone call, the lady kept referencing an unknown terror that will rain down on the earth, and to prepare because it's coming. Now, an unknown terror that will rain down on earth is the definition of an apocalypse. It's something that could happen in the future, that we're very terrified of, even though we don't know what it is, therefore making it an unknown terror that will rain down on earth. Then she said prepare. Now during a disaster, what do? Prepare. So overall, the phone call is referring to an apocalypse. But it isn't just a phone call. In fact, it's the other teasers too. Remember that Fright Fest parade? Well, the scare actors, some of them, were wearing gas masks and plague doctor masks. Something like you would see in a post-apocalyptic event, where maybe a pandemic got out of control, and maybe now people have to survive in this horrible time. But it doesn't stop there. What if I told you that I can tell the entire theme/story of the new ride from all of these teasers? It'll be a very bold prediction, but here it goes. The story is the people of Crack Canyon are very happy, but all of a sudden a new virus breaks out in the town that turns people into steampunk monsters. The virus is very contagious, and to survive, the citizens of Crack Canyon need to take precautions by wearing masks and preparing for this horrible event. But over time, it gets worse, and people start to go crazy. They want to live in normality again, so they arm themselves with steampunk gadgets to fight these monsters, and they now live in a post-apocalyptic dystopia. But there's more. The others, who don't want to turn like those cyborg people, want to create a vaccine to cure this virus. So, they donate blood or plasma to stop this pandemic, and hopefully it'll come to an end. But for now, they're still living in an apocalyptic situation. And what about the coaster? Well, the coaster can be this transportation device that'll take you around the town, and hopefully let you survive the apocalypse. And that's my story. Seems very far-fetched, doesn't it? Well, truth be told, this whole story is made by all these teasers. Hear me out. The reference to a virus or pandemic is right there. During the parade, like I said, we see some actors wearing gas masks or plague doctor masks, which is what people wore during a virus or pandemic back then. Then, the evil people that turn themselves into robots, also there. In the parade, we see some mechanical people, which are half human, half steampunk cyborg. Oh, and the monsters? Also right there. The main character that's holding the balloon at the front of the parade looks like a steampunk abomination, which could have been caused by that virus. Need more proof of the monsters? Well, look at the wall that says 2022 Gates of Fear will open. That's not a human hand, and that's not a human skull. They're mechanical abominations, which could be from either the virus or the people modifying their bodies. How about the vaccine part? Also in the teasers. There's a poster that says donors wanted. Well, it's there for a reason. They're probably donating blood or plasma to combat this virus with a vaccine. Just like us when we were trying to find a vaccine for COVID-19. And the reason why you see two hands to make you seem scared is because contrary to how we donated blood or plasma, in Crack Canyon it must be gruesome, terrifying, unsafe, and maybe even they do it by force. Hence why it's scary. So like I said, if you put all the teasers together, it creates an image. And to me, that's the image I saw. Oh, and the name for the attraction? Apocalypse. Sure, it seems like a standard name, but we've seen Fiesta Texas use a clone name and make it even cooler, like Daredevil Dive. We have other Daredevil Dives across Six Flags, but Fiesta Texas made their name unique, so they can do the same for Apocalypse and not make it a clone like Magic Mountain. Oh, and one more thing. Another coaster that has a slogan of fear is Apocalypse at Magic Mountain. The dispatcher always says before you go off on the coaster, enjoy your ride of fear through the apocalypse. And it seems very similar to like the slogans we see from the teasers. And that coaster's name is Apocalypse, so this one could be named that too. So my next prediction is that the coaster's name is Apocalypse, or it'll have some sort of apocalyptic theme or end of the world theme, which is also related to steampunk. But wait, there's more. There's actually one more prediction I wanted to do before I end the video, and that's the prediction of the opening day of the new attraction. Yep, you heard me right, I'm going to predict the opening date of the new attraction coming to Fiesta Texas. How can I do this if the ride hasn't been revealed yet? Well actually, Jeffrey confirmed this during Roller Coaster Rodeo. He said that next year, the Gates of Fear will open on Roller Coaster Rodeo. And he said it's not a coincidence that he picked this exact date for the teasers and the event.
So when those gates swing open here, again, Roller Coaster Rodeo, there's a reason that we picked this weekend, not just by coincidence. So please make sure that you mark your calendars, come to Roller Coaster Rodeo. I promise we will not disappoint.
So yeah, Jeffrey basically confirmed it. The new attraction will definitely open in the 2022 Roller Coaster Rodeo. And since Roller Coaster Rodeo started on June 10th, the new attraction could open on June 10th next year, or whenever Roller Coaster Rodeo lands on. So my final prediction is that the new attraction will open whenever Roller Coaster Rodeo happens next year in 2022. But anyways, those are my predictions from the teasers we've seen so far. Now obviously, things could change. The mysterious phone call will change its dialogue very soon. It's unknown when though, and more teasers will probably show up. So when that happens, I'll update you with more predictions, and hopefully I get it right again. But anyways, what do you think my prediction? Is it too far-fetched? Or could it be accurate? Comment down below. And if you really like this theory, don't forget to hit the like button and share it around so others can see it as well. And make sure to hit the notification bell to know when new videos come out on my channel, because prediction season is definitely coming up, and I'll have lots of prediction videos in store for you, and you won't want to miss any of them. Anyways, thank you for watching. This is JV Throws, signing out.